Hello everyone and welcome to Learn with Saad. In this video, we are going to learn about factorization. Factorization is the opposite of expanding brackets. We have already covered expansion of brackets in previous videos. For a lot of factorization questions, you will need to remember how to divide two powers. To divide two powers with the same base, you simply need to subtract the powers. So we have am divided by a to the power n. So we can also write it like am over a over n in fraction form. So we have two powers. This is a division one, a to the power m and a to the power n. So we simply subtract the powers. The bases are same, so we simply subtract the powers. Let's look at this next example. So we have x to the power 6 and x to the power 4. So this one, the bases are same, x and x, the bases are same. Is simply we can also write x to the power 6 divided by x to the power 4. So the bases are same, x and x is same. So what we need to do according to this rule, we simply need to subtract the powers. We just write the base as it is as x, then subtract the powers. 6 minus 4, which gives us x square. X to the power 6 divided by x to the power 4 is same as writing as x to the power 6 over x to the power 4. So what you do, you simply subtract the powers. Powers are 6 and 4. So let's look at this next question. First thing we need to see is the bases are same, 2 and 2, the bases are same. So what you need to do is basically write down the base, and then next thing, this power part, just subtract these two power. 10 minus 5, it gives you 2 to the power. 10 minus 5 is 5, would be our answer. Easy peasy. So when you have two bases with the same power and you're dividing the two powers with the same base, please always remember, when you're dividing the powers with the same base, then all you do is subtract the powers. That applies to alphabets, letters, or numbers as well. So in the first example, we have x as a letter, same base with powers. All we did is basically subtract the powers. Same goes for the numbers part as well. Here are some exam style questions for you. Please apply the same rule. Let me do few example for you. If I do number 3, let's write down the questions. 9x over 9 divided by 3x cubed. So how we do these questions, we're gonna deal numbers with numbers and alphabets with alphabets separately. So now 9 and 3, 9 divided by 3 is just 3. And then for the next part, we have x, because the bases are same, x and x, we got the same bases, x, so they are dividing with each other. So we would just subtract the powers. 9 minus 3, which gives us 3x. 9 minus 3 is 6, would be our answer. For question number 5 now, 2 to the power minus 6 divided by 2 to the power minus 4. So what we need to do, as the bases are same, 2 and 2, the base is same, we write 2 as it is. we do minus 6, then minus sign of the formula, and then you can write down this minus 4 here, minus 4. Next step, we have 2 to the power minus 6, minus times minus makes it plus 4. 2 to the minus 6 plus 4 is minus 2. So I'm going to do now question number 8 for you as well, please. So question number 8, if you write it, x to the power 4 y minus 3 is divided by this part. So I can simply write it underneath that, which is x minus 3 y to the power 14. So as you see here, that the base is x and x is same, y and y is same, and we got the powers. So what we do is we simply write down the bases first, x for the first one to the power 4, then minus sign of the formula, then whatever you have, this minus 3 please. You can do the same for y as well, y to the power minus 3, and then minus here because of the division rule for alphabets or numbers with same basis. Now we can simplify it. We now x to the power 4 minus times minus. This minus is timing with the minus with the 3, which will make it plus. We will have x equal to 4 plus 3. Then for the y1, minus 3 minus 14 is minus 17. X to the power 7 y minus 17 is our answer. Just for your information, whenever you have two negative numbers, minus 3 minus 14, you add them up but still write the minus sign. Now your turn to do all these remaining exam style questions yourself, please. 1 to 9, please attempt all these questions yourself before you move on to the next topic. We are going to learn about now factorizing the expression fully. Factorization, as I told you, is the opposite of expanding brackets. What you need to do in this one is you need to look for a common factor of all the terms in an expression and take it outside the brackets. So once again, you got to look for the highest common factor of all the terms of both these terms in this expression and take it outside the pair of brackets, please. 9d is the highest common factor. 9d is the highest common factor of both these two terms. So 9d, if we take it out, gives us 1 minus 9d. In other words, if you divide this term 9d minus 81d square with this common factor we have taken out, 9d and 9d, that would gives us 1 minus 9d. So 81d squared divided by 9d gives us 9d. So 1 minus 9d you get. Also, if you want to check that you have factorized it properly, you can always time your answer, times this factor with 1 and 9d again, you will get the same 9d minus 81d squared back. This is how we factorize it. We take the highest common factor out, which is for both these two terms, and then we write it outside the bracket. Let's do the next question. 15ba minus 3b squares. So in this 15ba, what are the common terms? So we can see b and b is the common term, and then 15 and 3, they are factors of multiples of table of 3 as well. So if I write down 3b outside, then I can write this one as 5a minus b as our answer. So 3b into 5a minus b is the factorized form of this expression. So all you need to do is you need to look for the highest common factor for both the terms and then write it outside the brackets, and the remaining part we would write it inside the bracket. Let's do this next question, part C. 3xy cubed plus 9x squared y squared minus 15xy to the power 5. What I need to do is basically look for the highest common factor in all these three terms. I know we got 3, 9 and 15. So for all these numbers, the highest common factor for 3, 9 and 15 would be 3. Then I'm gonna now look for the x terms. So x, x squared and x. The highest common factor for x, x squared and x would be simply just x. Next, for the y terms, you got y cubed, y squared and y to the power 5. So the highest term which I can take it out is y squared. That's what we're gonna take it outside the brackets. And then one way is basically we have 3xy cubed. You can divide it with this part, 3xy squared, which would give us 3x cancels with each other. Y3 minus 2 gives you just y. So we would just write y here. This is just the in detail explanation of why I am writing y here. We would have y for the first term. Then for the second term, before you write, please write down the sign plus. It's going to be 3x, just 3x. Why just 3x? If you have 9x squared, y squared, we divide it with 3x y squared. So when you divide it with 3xy squared, 9 divided by 3 is just 3. X squared divided by x, 2 minus 1. Do you know the method? When we're going to solve it, is we're just going to subtract the powers, which just gives you x. And then y squared and y squared cancels out each other. So you're only going to write down 3x there. For the last one, minus sign first, it's going to be minus 5y cubed. So 3xy squared into y plus 3x minus 5y cubed is the factorization of this expression. So if you will times 3xy squared with all these three terms, you would get the same expression back. For the last one, I've got 4a cubed minus 19a. The highest common factor which I can take in this expression is just a. So what I'm going to do, we're going to write just a outside. The numbers 4 and 19, don't go into the same table, so we can't take them out. We would write 4a squared minus 19 for this one. How we got 4a square minus 19? We just divided 4a cube with this common factor. That gives us 4a square, and same with this second part as well. 19a, we can divide it with our common factor, cancels out to give us 19. You do not need to write down the other working. You can write down the answer directly as well. I just did it for your understanding. So once you practice these questions regularly, then you would be able to do it directly as well. Party time! Now please do all these exam style questions from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for me, please. So I have explained you everything. And then when you're done with it, then you love me. Factorizing quadratics. This is a general form of quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c, in which the first term is going to be a squared term of x, second term just a linear x, and the last one is c as a constant. We can see in this first question, the first term is the square term x squared, the second one is bx 6x, and the third one is 8, which is a constant. Here a, b and c are constant and they are not equals to 0. So a, b, c, and a is not equal to or constant, where a cannot be equal to 0. We're gonna solve quadratic here by using sum and product rule. What does sum and product rule says? It says in which you're gonna find two numbers that add to give us this middle part 6x, and when we multiply those two numbers to give us 8. That's why it's called sum and product rule, add or subtract to give us 8. So when you find, what we need to do is find two numbers which add to up to 6 and then times it with each other to give us 8. First thing I'm going to do is basically times 8 with 1 here in this case, if it's an invisible 1. So 8, which gives us 8x squared. Yeah. So first thing, please times 8 with x squared, which gives us 8x squared. Now the same thing which I told you before. Now we need to find two numbers when we times them should gives us 8x squared, but when we add or subtract them should give us this middle 6x. In this example we see we have 4x and 2x are the two numbers. So if I times 4x with 2x, that's the first part I'm talking about. These are the two numbers, 4 and 2. That gives us 8x squared. Yeah. And if I add 4x and 2x, it gives me 6x. So you can see I found two numbers, 4 and 2, 4x and 2x. If I times them, that gives me 8x squared, which is what I'm looking for in terms of multiplication. And when I add and subtract the same two numbers, gives me 6x. That's why it's called sum and product rule, because we need to make sure the both two numbers qualifies sum and product rule completely. So again, I'm gonna now solve the question and I'll tell you how you need to write all the information. First, we write x square as it is. Then after that, you need to write these two terms, which is plus 4x, and then that's plus 4x is our first term. Then second term, plus 2x. Instead of 6x, we will replace 6x with 4x and 2x. And the last thing as it is. So I have replaced 6x with 4x, 2x and 2x using sum and product rule. Then after that, what you need to do, please, is you need to draw a dotted line here after the second term to split it into two, and then we will factorize it separately. So we need to now factorize these two expressions separately. We can factorize it just like we learned so far. So x is the highest common factor between these two terms, so I can write it x into x plus 4. Then in the next one, 2 is the common factor in these two terms, 2x and a, and write it, that gives us x plus 4. Okay. Now one most important thing is, after doing this step, these two terms x plus 4 and x plus 4 should be same. If they are not same, that it means you have made a mistake in any of your previous steps. So please make sure this is an indication you have done your factorization correctly. The next step would be, now I'm going to write x plus 4 and x plus 4 once, and then in the next step I'm going to combine x and this plus 2, these two terms, and we'll combine them, x plus 2, as our answer. So this is how you do factorization of quadratics. So I'm going to explain it to you now a little bit quickly how I did this question. So first, what you need to do is you need to time this number, the c, with x square, which gives us 8x square. Then the next step is the most important step. You need to find two numbers. When we times it, it should gives us 8x square, and when we add or subtract the same number, should give us this middle number 6x. Then please, after that, replace 6x with these two numbers and terms, 4x plus 2x plus 8. Third step is draw the dotted line here. Factorize these two expressions separately, and then you need to look for x plus 4 common. These two terms should be common, otherwise you must have made a mistake in your previous steps. Combine x plus 4 and write them as once, and then you need to write x plus 2 next to x plus 4. So that would be your answer. Please practice this question, the same question which I've done it 2 to 3 times, so you register all the steps on your memory and committed all the steps to your memory, and then practice the next question. Now I'm going to do a few more questions for you. The first step, x squared plus 8x plus 12. What you do is you times 12 with this one here. It gives you 12x squared. So I need to look for now two numbers that when I times them should give me 12x squared, and when I add or subtract them should give me 8x as well, this middle number. So 12x square, when I times it and when I add or subtract it, should give me 8x. So I know 6x times 2x. 6 and 2, 6 times 2 is 12. So I got my first part done. And then when I add 6 plus 2, that gives you 6x plus 2x gives me 8x. So 6x and 2x are the terms or the numbers I need to use. So x square as it is, so I'm going to replace this middle term 8x with 6x and 2x. X square plus 6x plus 2x plus 12. The next step, I'm going to draw a dotted line here and factorize these two expressions separately. X square plus 6x, so I can take x common out, leaves me with x plus 6. And with the next one, 2 common out, x plus 6. What I do after that, what does this say? X plus 6 and x plus 6 same, so it means we have done the factorization correctly. Now I need to write x plus 6 as one, and then this term and this term I'm going to combine them, x plus 2. That's how you factorize quadratic terms. To the next one now, x squared plus 5x equals to minus 4. So you can see it's not in quadratic form. The first step we need to do is to arrange it into quadratic form. So for that, what we need to do is we need to bring minus 4 to this side, x squared plus 5x, and then we'll make it plus 4 equals to 0. The reason it's plus 4 because I brought it from the other side of the equal side to the left side. Then now it is in quadratic form, the same form which I told you here, ax squared plus bx plus c, that the first term should be x squared term, the second term should be bx1, and the third c1 as constant. So if it's not in quadratic form, so please write it in quadratic form first, and then you can solve it. Same method we need to do. We need to times 4 with this one, 4x square. That gives us 4x square. I know that 4x times x, or 4 times 1x, 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 plus 1 equals to 5. So these are the over two numbers we need to use in this expression in order to solve it. So 4x and 1x, when times together gives us 4x square, and when we add them together gives us 5x, which is this middle term. Now what I'm going to do, I am going to replace 5x with these terms, 4x plus x plus 4 equals to 0. After that, you need to factorize it. X plus 4 gives us the same term, which means we have factorized it correctly. You need to write x plus 4 as 1, and then combine x and plus 1 term, please. So that would be our answer for this question. It's a difficult topic, so please make sure you practice it frequently and regularly in order to get a full command on factorization part. Sometimes you will come across the question in which you will have a number term next to the first term x squared, which is okay. All you need to do is to follow the same method. First thing we do is we're gonna times 7 with 3. No, I'm sorry. First we need to arrange it into quadratic form. This is not in a quadratic form. So first we need to write it in 3x squared minus 7x minus 6 equal to 0. So basically now it is in quadratic form. First term is the square term, then x term, and then the c. Next step we would do is basically I'm gonna times 6 with 3. That gives me 18x squared. Now I'm gonna look for two numbers. When I times them, should give me 18x squared, and when I add or subtract them, should give me minus 7x. So I now two numbers 9 and 2. When I times 9 with 2, that gives me 18x squared, and when I add minus 9x plus 2x, it gives me minus 7x. So you need to keep in mind you get the correct signs as well. So I'm going to replace minus 7x with minus 9x plus 2x minus 6. Next step, we're gonna separate it. 3x into x minus 3 plus 2 into x minus 3. So like I told you before, so x minus 3 and x minus 3 same. That tells us that we have done over all factorization steps correctly. Combine them please. X minus 3 as ones, and the next step you need to 3x and 2, them 2, please write them together. 3x plus 2, that's our answer. Okay, so now we're going to learn about difference of two squares. Some quadratic expressions have no middle term. As you can see in this one, x squared minus 16, it has no middle term. If you remember that previously we've been doing quadratic expression with middle term 6x. In this one, x squared minus 16, the middle term is missing. So these quadratic have factors that are the same, except that one is positive and the other one is a negative term. For example, x squared minus 16, in order to solve it, what we need to do is we need to arrange it into this above formula, like a squared minus b squared equals a plus b, a minus b. Like if you have two terms in which you can square it, both the term with a negative, and if they have a negative sign in between them as well, only then you can apply this formula. Like a squared minus b squared, then you will write the first term first with the second term with the positive sign first, and then with a negative sign, a minus b. Once a plus b, and the next time a minus b. In this question, x squared minus 16, so first thing we need to make sure we are able to write it in to the above formula form, a squared minus. So if we can write the first term as x squared, and we can write 16 as 4 squared. Why? Because x to the power 2 is x squared and 4 squared is minus 16. So if we can arrange it into the x squared minus 4 squared form, then we can write it like this it's given in the above formula, like once this first term with the second term with the positive sign, x plus 4 and then x minus 4. This is very important, and it's very important for you to learn it, the difference of two squares. Like if you can arrange x squared minus 16 in this form, x to the power 2 and 4 to the power square 2, then you are able to write the first and the second term, once with the positive sign and once with the negative sign. Again, please listen to this question very carefully again. If we have, let's do the next question, 4x squared minus 16y squared. The first thing we need to look is if in between the two square there is a negative sign or not. We cannot apply this formula if there is a positive or a plus sign between these two terms. We can only use it when we have a minus sign between the two terms, which we can write it in a squared form. So 4x squared minus 16y squared, and it should be for the whole term, not just for the number part or a letter or an alphabet part. It should be for the whole thing, for both of the terms. So I'm going to write now it into the square 2x whole square minus 4y whole square, because we now 4x square is same as writing as 2x to the power 2 and 16y square as 4y square. Then now it is in this formula form, a square minus b square. What it says, I can write both these terms, 2x and 4y, whatever inside the bracket we have, both these terms, once with the plus sign and once with the negative sign. 2x plus 4y and 2x minus 4y. That's how we can factorize the difference of two squares using the formula above. So please remember, for two things you need to keep in mind. First is to arrange it into this form. If you cannot arrange, let's say if I've got 9x cubed minus 4y squared, so I cannot do this using this method, a square minus b square. Reason is I can write the square 9 into the square form 3, but I cannot do for the x cube. X cube, I can't write it as x square. So I cannot use a square minus b square formula for these two terms. It needs to have a minus sign, most important, minus sign, and you should be able to do square all the terms in both these terms, please. If you are able to do it, then you should be able to write it into 2x a plus b and a minus b form. Two more examples for us. So I'm going to do it first. I'm going to try to write it into xk square form, and then 49 I can write it as minus 7 square. So xk, then after that both them are in a square form with a minus sign. I can write them once xk and 7 as plus, xk plus 7, and once as xk minus 7. That would be your answer. Same goes for 9a square minus 36b square. The first thing, I can see a minus sign here, and I can also write these two terms into the square form. The 9a square can be written as 3a to the power square, and then minus 36b square I can write it as 6b square. Both are square, and with a negative sign I can then next step write 3a plus 6b and 3a minus 6b. Easy peasy. So then allows me to write both these two terms once with the plus sign. Now please do all these exam style questions now yourself. That's all for today's lesson. Thank you very much.